Okay. Penny! Would you come here? Would you come here? You okay? She's okay. You're so jittery. Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of My Favorite Things, where we talk about things that I love and hopefully you love them too. Today we're going to talk about Aeon Flux. So way back in 1991, when I was 10, wow, I used to watch a show on Saturday night called Liquid Television. Each episode of Liquid Television was a collection of animated shorts that were mind-blowing most of the time. One of these shorts was called Aeon Flux. Aeon Flux told the story of Aeon, who was a sort of private agent of sorts. Each Aeon Flux short was unique in the way that they played with perspective and storytelling devices. And there was so much spectacle in just this little bit of animation. The music was on point, the characters were well defined, and this was all without a bit of dialogue. Aeon Flux was created by Peter Chung, whose previous work was on the Rugrats pilot. One thing that immediately captured me about Aeon was that audience expectation was immediately toyed with. In the first moments of the pilot, we are thrown into the middle of a battle. It's Aeon versus green soldiers. It's crazy. It's action-packed, it's ridiculous, and it's actually pretty typical if you're familiar with action movies. But what made this unique was that the main character was female. Back when Aeon premiered, it was still pretty rare to see a woman as an action hero, and right as we are introduced in this heroic fashion to Aeon, our hero, we are brought into another perspective of the battle. We see the rest of the scene through the eyes of Breen soldiers, who are not only dead because of this massacre that Aeon inflicted upon them, but some of them are also dying of a disease. We see the pain between two soldiers, implied to be a couple, when Aeon carelessly shoots one dead in front of her dying lover. We are left thinking, who's really the bad guy? Are there bad guys? What kind of hero is Aeon? Aeon ultimately fails in her mission, and the villain of the piece comes off as a hero, curing the disease that the Breen soldiers had. After the pilot, a series of shorts followed, each one featuring Aeon meeting her demise, and each one still playing around with visuals and narrative structure. When Aeon Flux eventually became a series on MTV 5 years after the pilot aired, Aeon now had a voice.
My name is Aeon Flux. I'm here on a mission to assassinate Trevor Goodchild. Is everybody listening? Do you believe me?
And the show retained the same visual style, the same different perspective, and the same unique writing. The show still toyed with how they played with audience expectations. One episode has Aeon evading an assassin attempt on her life, without even realizing that she evaded an assassin attempt on her life, or who even did it.
Who was that?
Aeon and our main antagonist, Trevor Goodchild, are obviously in love. But it's never as simple as that, is it? Aeon is from the anarchist type of city of Monica, and Trevor is from the repressive city of Brina. Monica and Brina are separated by a very harsh border that brings severe consequences to those who dare try to pass it illegally. If she really wanted to cross, she must have had a good reason. Look at the consequence. Trevor loved Aeon so much that he made a clone of her. But like I said, it's never that easy. Aeon ends up working with the clone to switch places, so the real Aeon can mess with his head. What happens, though, is that Aeon loses herself in Trevor, really allowing herself to be in love with him. And she ends up getting killed because of it. This, of course, allows the clone to live on, and I think the clone is who we see in the majority of the show. My theory is that the reason that Aeon can die and still live on is that there's always a clone of her, just waiting to take her place. And I'd like to think they're all of a hive mind. The world depicted in the show includes various types of beings, like the demiurges, a physical god that both Aeon and Trevor try to take hold of. Aeon fears its power, whereas Trevor wants to further explore it, believing it to be the key to peace.
Aeon Flux, stop and think! It could have changed everything!
Not the ways that we are.
Everything!
Our hero Aeon pretty much wants to kill a god, while our villain Trevor thinks that the god could save humanity. And it's never determined who's right or wrong here.
It must still be down there!
And it knows we have its best interests at heart. Let it go.
There are also the adorable creatures, the Nargiles, who create a memory-erasing drug called Bliss. One of Aeon's companions takes Bliss as a sort of memory suicide once he learns that Aeon not only was involved in the death of his ex-girlfriend Muriel, but also that Muriel was in league with Trevor.
I'm not gonna hurt you again, Rorty.
That's nice. What's your name?
No, Rorty. You didn't.
Didn't what? Who are you? What is this place?
The scene is truly heartbreaking. Other awesome creatures in the show are the humanoid birds, the Seraph-Trevs. Trevor is trying to seduce a female Seraph-Trev and has imprisoned her male companion. Aeon and her friend Una are hired by the scientist Librin to save her because he likes the female bird too. In the process, Una ends up falling in love with the male bird, complicating things even further. It's kind of like a Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, what is that? This is some giant baby thing from the episode Chronophagia. Chronophagia is one of my favorite episodes of Aeon Flux. And I don't know why. In this episode, every time Aeon encounters this giant baby, she kind of restarts the episode. And the only one who seems to know what's going on is this kid with 90s hair. He actually kind of looks like me in the 90s. Wow. My hair was orange, though. This episode ends with Aeon and the kid in a very normal-looking world where they are mother and son. I thought this would have been a very interesting way to end the show, especially if Trevor ended up being Aeon's husband in this alternate world. But how the show really ends is a little mind-blowing. Aeon and Trevor encounter an alien with psionic abilities. Aeon tries to befriend the being, and when that fails, the alien is kidnapped by Trevor's soldiers. Trevor accompanies the alien to its homeworld, as Aeon awaits their return in a hibernation pod for a very, very, very long time. She wakes to find Earth is full of the alien beings, and thinking that the beings have taken over, she uses a device that kills the aliens, which also means she has killed the majority of the population of the planet Earth. Trevor is still alive after all these years, and he explains to Aeon that those weren't aliens she killed. Those were human beings who have evolved. Aeon has destroyed humanity.
You don't get it, do you? You don't understand at all.
Sorry, you're aliens.
Aeon, there are no aliens. These people you think of as aliens are what we have become. They're humans. They're us.
She knocks Trevor out, and they sleep in the hibernation pod, which is taken away by the final survivors of humanity, and that's where the series ends.
We have already evolved so much, our actions would be incomprehensible to a human from 1,000 years ago. It's the evolution revolution.
Go forth and multiply.
And that's where the series ends. At least until the movie, and the video game for the movie. Aeon Flux was such a unique show in such a unique, beautiful setting. I've watched this show many times since its initial airing, and I'm always finding something new to appreciate about it. I highly recommend the show. I rewatch the entire series at least once a year. thanks for joining me on this fun episode of My Favorite Things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. I'll see you next time. Bye.